So we'll call this meeting of the Unionville Historic District and Properties Commission to order on December 2nd, 2021. We will not have our public hearing. The Unionville Museum has withdrawn their COA. They're going to resubmit for with a new plan for their sidewalk. So that will they have time, Shannon, to do that for the January meeting?
They will. It seems that there's a few things in flux, and I don't know that there's a huge sense of urgency on their end. So,
okay.
But yes, there is still time for the January meeting, and we can always work around if we need to make other accommodations.
Okay, good. Good. Here's Ann now. Good.
And,
all right. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Ann.
And
still logging in.
Okay.
Audio stuff. There we go. Hi, Ann. How you doing? Oh, and Barbara raised her hand. Barbara is in under attendees. I have to promote Barbara. She ended up under attendees.
Huh.
There we go. So we'll have
Here she
Barbara
is.
too.
Hi, Barbara. There she is. Oh, unmute yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Barbara, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Okay.
There she
There
is.
There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
You're good
we
to
can.
go.
I can't see me. I've never had this problem before. So, oh well, but as long as you can hear me.
We can hear you and we can see you.
We can see you.
Okay.
So we can see
All
you.
right.
So, okay.
Okay.
Oh, and there you are.
There she is. Hi, Ann. Ann is looking very serious. So I think hopefully she can hear us. All right. So we have just, we've begun the meeting, Barbara and Ann, and we are not going to have a public hearing for the Unionville Museum COA tonight. They've withdrawn their application and will resubmit with a new plan for the sidewalk. So we are now, oh, Ann is calling. She might be calling you, Shannon. Well, at any rate, now we move on to officers, the election of officers. For 2022. So I have heard from, I'll just let all of you tell us what you would like to do, but I will say that we are unfortunately losing Howard, who is leaving the commission as of January, I believe. Is that right, Howard?
Oh, you're on mute, Howard.
After this meeting, Lisa.
After this meeting.
Yeah.
So at the end of the meeting, we'll make appropriate statements about Howard, and we really have, you've been great on the commission, Howard. Thank you for serving. And so Howard would not stand for an officer's position. And I did hear from Bob that he would like to step down as vice chair. Is that correct, Bob? Did you change your mind overnight?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Okay. All right. Very
I was
good.
just thinking that somebody else should try the position instead.
Okay. We are limited because only regular members can be officers.
Right.
And Lisa,
Very
I just
limited.
so it would leave us with Lisa, Ann, and you, Bob, as the 3 regular members. Barbara, Matt, and Steve Meyer are our alternates. And actually, Lisa, I just sent you an email because it will, moving forward, put us in a little bit of a quandary for quorum. So because through a variety of things that took place last year and having to work with Bob DeCrescenzo, we were informed and corrected in some of our practices, and that we cannot seat an alternate to fill a vacancy. We can only seat an alternate to fill an absence or a conflict of interest. So we will only have 3 seats moving into 2022, but have a minimum quorum of 4.
So can I repeat that back to you and make sure I understand it? So if there is a vacancy, we cannot appoint an alternate to vote for that vacant person.
Correct.
Wow, that does put us in a quandary, but we will deal with that.
Correct. So
after
I
the-
put that all in an email to you in case you
Okay.
wanted to
Thank
reach
you.
out to parties to see.
We
and
need
the
to
next
start
town,
to fill. Yeah.
the next
okay.
town council meeting is December 14th, and then of course they'll have one in January, but their January meeting would be after our January meeting.
Okay, very good. All right. Thank you, Shannon, for keeping us organized with all
Yeah,
that.
I was
Because
just going
that's
through
a
the
shifting
numbers.
landscape. Yeah. All right, very good. So that really leaves, I will just, from the onset, say that I'm willing to serve as chair for another year. But if someone wants to depose me, there will not be a sword fight. So then we have Ann and Bob. We do have to fill the position of vice chair. And do we need to officially fill the position of secretary?
Ideally, yes, but certainly, so it could wait till January. What it says is if, for all of them, what it says is that the chairman, so I'll read the chairman, says must be a regular member of the commission and shall be elected annually. The election will be held at the last meeting of the calendar year, and the term of the current chairman shall expire on the first day of the new calendar year. In the event the election of chairman is delayed for any reason, the current chair shall preside over the commission until such time a new chair is elected. And that same wording is used. So in the event the election of the officer or vice chair is delayed, the current vice chair shall act as vice chair until such time as the new vice chair is elected. And the same wording for secretary.
Okay.
Actually, that wording is not in, yes, it is the same wording for secretary, although Howard's secretary, so that's kind of a moot point.
Okay.
So,
All right. So I am willing to serve as chair.
I'm not going anywhere, I guess.
What's that, Bob?
I'm not going anywhere, I guess.
At least not for this month.
No.
Or, yeah, until we can start to fill some of these vacancies, Bob, which is up to the town council, and I will get on that right away. So if you would be so kind as to serve as vice chair again until we can get the appropriate replacement, we'd be really grateful. Thank you, Bob. Does anybody have any other ideas here? I don't want to push anybody out who would like to, although it's really just Ann at this point. Ooh.
I've got.
Ann, can you hear me?
Right.
Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
She can hear,
She's,
she's getting, I just chatted with Shannon to promote her so
Yeah.
that she can talk.
Gotcha. Hang on one second.
Yeah, she's muted now.
Or here,
Her,
allow to talk.
yeah, her audio is not working on her computer, so I had her dial in.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
Okay. So
Okay.
now she needs to unmute her phone. That's the best. So I've asked her to unmute. There you
There we
go.
go.
Ann, are you
Can you
all
hear
set?
me now?
There you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Yes, perfect.
What is the status on Steve?
Steve is an alternate.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, yes, it is good. So I think that my thinking is that we would ask the council to move Steve into a regular position, if that's possible. But we'll obviously have to check in with Steve before we do that.
Well, and there'll be 2 vacancies, right? So there's Sherry's vacancy and then Howard. So there's opportunity for
Yeah.
whatever movement everyone feels is appropriate.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I would be willing to move if if the council would appoint me. I don't know if they would.
Thank you, Barbara. Well, I think, Matt, I don't want to leave you out here. You have served as a
No.
regular.
Yeah, no.
Are you happy as an
so,
alternate? Okay.
He's
so,
in for
so
life.
I'm in that stage of life where I am trying to balance the family obligations with community obligations. And as much as I'd be willing to come back, if absolutely needed, I would definitely come back to serve as a regular and serve as secretary and take the minutes and all that stuff. It's just I'm trying to balance the family life with everything else too. And I still have a very vested interest in this commission and our purpose and mission. So I don't want to give it up completely.
So the alternate place for you is really ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At this
perfect,
point.
perfect. But we certainly don't want to lose you at all on this commission because you bring so many valuable talents, Matt. So I'm glad to hear that. All right, Barb, I think I'll have a conversation with Steve. Barbara, thank you. I will get going with the town council to fill those 2 vacancies with the 2 of you. Keep your fingers crossed. You all know how sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't, but I think our secret weapon here is Ed.
Right.
I'm
Oh,
certainly in
okay.
favor of that.
Thank you,
Got my
Ed.
vote.
So, all right. So Ed, I'll communicate with you too.
Absolutely. Yep.
Link you in on that. Thank you. All right, good. So where does that leave us? That leaves us right now with me as chair and Bob as vice chair until we make these changes, Bob. So thank you for that.
So technically, there should be a nomination, and it can be as a slate of both of you, and then a second, and then a vote. And we have the 4 voting members this evening. Let's make sure I get this right.
I think we all get to vote on the election of officers, I believe, according to the bylaws.
Yeah, no. And I'm gonna say, and I'm back to direction that I've received from Bob DiCrescenzo. It's very clear and we had an issue with this unfortunately with the Farmington Historic District at the end of last year. So it is only the full members and it is not the alternates. And that goes back to the Connecticut general statutes and the governing law as to how these bodies are set up. So it will be just the full voting, the regular members for this. So it'll be Lisa Ann, Bob, and Howard for this evening. So full members. So a motion and a second, and then a vote.
So I'll make the motion that we nominate Lisa Johnson for chair, Bob Hoffman for vice chair of the commission.
I second it.
Thank you, Howard. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Any abstentions? Great, motion carries. All right.
More confusing than ever, huh?
With Shannon's help, we get through these things. Thank you. All right, very good. And to be continued next year. Thank you for your flexibility, everybody. All right, then let's take a look at the minutes of November 4, 2021. Have you all had an opportunity to read them? Oops.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody's read them? Good.
Yep.
Okay, great. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from November 4th.
Thank you, Howard. A second?
I second it.
Thank you, Bob. Any discussion or edits to the minutes? All in favor of the approval of the minutes, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, good. All right, review the latest list of potential properties for the expanding district. I have heard from the one person who I know about, and I'm blanking on her name and even the address of her.
It's Keene Place, right? Is
Thank
that?
you. Thank you. Yes. She is still interested and would like us to move forward on this. So we have one potential property. As soon as I get back to Connecticut, which will be February 1st, I'll be able to go, I've done all the online research on her property. I'll be able to go into the land records and finish that up. But to make this efficient, we really do need to have a minimum of 3 properties to go through this process. Those of you who've been on the commission for a while know. So it's been a while since I thought about this. Were there other property owners who are interested, or other property owners we wanted to approach to include in the district? Anybody recall? No? Was Dawn the only one so far? Okay.
Actually, it's the only one that we've heard from. I mean, if it's helpful, I can redistribute the latest list. I think that there's various cultivation lists that we've had, and I'm happy to redistribute those
Thank
for
you,
folks to
Shannon.
take a look at. At
Okay.
least maybe get thought processes going. I'm seeing some head shaking, so I'll do that.
So in January, we can continue this conversation and talk about cultivation of some other property owners to move ahead to see if we can get a couple more. This last group was very successful, even though it shifted a little bit toward the end. It was really very, very successful. And I think that filled in a couple of gaps too. It also kind of pushed our boundary way out there to Route 6, which was fun. So it kind of put the Farmington Historic District on notice. We're prowling around for properties.
Moving.
So we're moving. Yeah. Anyway. All right, great. That's exciting to start 2022 with that kind of effort. That will be very refreshing for all of us. And I really do mean it this time, once COVID has passed. Shannon, are the archives open now? The records open?
They are, yes.
Oh,
you can go
awesome.
down. I'm not sure if you need an appointment, but I know the office is open. So
if anybody is interested in learning how to research land records, I'm glad to meet you there. And I can teach you what I know, which isn't everything, but I'll teach you what I know.
I would be interested in that.
Awesome.
I would too.
Great.
I would like to do that.
Wonderful. Okay.
Just give a date.
We'll make a date in February. That'll be
February.
great. And I'll be in touch with the 2 of you.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Wonderful. Okay, good. All right, the walking tour brochure for Lovely Street.
I
Is
have
that
to admit, I have not done anything yet.
It's okay. I don't think
I
there's
don't know if
anybody
it's
lining up for a
okay.
walking tour yet.
Yes, busy.
that's all right. It's a busy time of year. So it's
Yeah,
one
it
of those
sure is.
projects. It's a good winter puttering project.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll just
Oh,
continue.
I have something to share actually with the walking tour. So I'm
Okay.
also on the Economic Development Commission, and
Uh-huh.
on the Explore Farmington page, they have information about the Farmington Historic Districts, like walking through their district. And I suggested that Rose also add your information to the website too. So I think she'll be reaching out to you if she hasn't already done so to add that to the Explore Farmington website, get some more
Great.
engagement there. Yeah.
Oh,
There
perfect.
are several tours already set up that they can just link to.
Yep. So I'll coordinate.
Oh yeah,
with
or
Rose.
they
I
could just
didn't
link to
even-
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can coordinate with Rose. I didn't realize they were on, that she had linked the Farmington to her page. So we can absolutely, that's easy enough to coordinate with Rose. Thanks for letting us know.
That's
Yeah, no problem.
great. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Wonderful. Good. Okay. So that's moving. Maybe in the fall of 2022, we could return to having some kind of public program with a walking
would be
tour as we've done in the
wonderful.
past. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That'd be great
would.
to work toward that.
Mm.
Let's keep that in the back of our minds and move toward that so we're ready when the gates finally open, which will be soon.
Okay.
All right, good.
I'm realizing my other business note on the agenda is not relevant. It's duplicative.
Just making sure that we did it. Yeah, good.
I carry over from November. But I don't know, Lisa, did you see my email from earlier today regarding 119 Coppermine?
Yes.
So we
So
can certainly.
Shannon, I wonder if you would inform the commission. I need to recuse myself. I am president of the Farmington Land Trust.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, so I am happy to answer any questions, but I will recuse myself from discussion and from any decision-making the commission makes. But that's a great topic to bring to this commission, Shannon. Could you inform everybody?
I sure will. And I'm bringing up our town map. I'm assuming everybody can see the town street map up here.
Mhm.
Okay, I got to get on the right street would be helpful. Coppermine. Okay, so the Farmington Land Trust is working and has an application in with the Town Plan and Zoning Commission for 119 Coppermine Road. And this is the Bushley. Oh, Lisa, I'm sorry. What's the name of this?
The Wilcox Bushley Homestead.
Thank you. And it's right opposite West District School and the Y intersection for West District. So the Farmington Land Trust owns this property and all of the surrounding property. And as part of their application, what they're looking to do, of course, this has been a residential home as part of this larger property for years. And now the Farmington Land Trust is looking to renovate the building, both buildings, the home and the barns, to make their offices, to move their offices here, and an educational and learning center and opportunity. As part of this, they are in a position of having to demolish just the last two bays of the barn. And bear with me just a second and I'll get some photos up here. A picture being worth 1,000 words.
Mhm.
And so this is the picture of the barn. I'm looking head on. So it's standing to the east side of the property, looking west. Here's the house. You can see the white portion of the house and then the barn. And it's these last two bays of the barn are just, the entire barn is in need of a little TLC and facelift, but these last two bays are really beyond repair. And I've got a couple of close-ups. So this is the end side of the barn, and there's trees growing up in and through it. And it was, and you can see right through the daylight. And the structure, so not only are the siding and the roof in disrepair, but the structural beams for this portion and the posts, you can see, are just rotted through. So yeah, this is pretty, again, pictures worth 1,000 words here with respect to this portion of the barn, unfortunately. So what they are going to do is just take off those two bays and then renovate the rest of the barn and repurpose the barn. Some of it'll be for some storage area, some of it'll be some venue space, and there'll be a lovely patio area that's being built towards the back. And then on the front, there's a deck is being, or front, I say the front because this is where the parking area is going to be. But the deck here, and then an ADA accessible ramp, all in wood, so it'll all match in. And then there's a small deck and stairs, so a small portion of the existing residence needs to be demolished on this back corner in order to do a rebuild and then create a deck space and step down into this gathering space. It'll be located on I'll call it the west side of the building. It doesn't exactly sit north-south direct, but we'll call it the west side for our purposes. So the application is in front of TPZ on Tuesday night. It is a public hearing because of the change in use to a philanthropic and charitable use within a residential zone. And it also requires the public hearing because a portion of this historic building and the barn is included is being demolished. And so notification was given to, we have the town historian, the chairmans of both historic districts, the Historic Society, and the president of Unionville Museum. So those email notifications went out today. Prior to that, written notifications had been sent in August from our building department, because this started with a demolition permit that we had to put the brakes on and get them to put a full plan together for us. So this is it's an opportunity. If the commission as a whole wants to issue a comment to TPZ, you can do individual comments. Written comment is accepted, or verbal comment. You can call into the meeting on Tuesday evening and participate and hear the full presentation. I do have site plans. I can bring up site plans if anyone wants more information than what I've already shown. I'm happy to do that. I can do that here and get them up on the screen if folks are interested. But that, again, this is part of the new regulation that Bill Warner put in 2018, so that additional notification is done when any portion of a historic building that has had a historic inventory completed for it. Then this notification process has to take place, and it has to be heard as part of the public hearing with a special permit with TPZ.
So this would be on our list of new possible historic district housing?
It's possible. We'll have to see how the land trust feels about that after the project's completed. I would like them to put it in the local historic district, but that's a decision the board will have to make. I did want to offer some additional information about the portions of the building that will be demolished. The small room off the generally the east side that's going to come down was a room that was literally pasted on in the late 19th century. It doesn't have a foundation. I call it the crazy uncle room. It's it wasn't even heated. There's no heat source in there, and it has a door off the living room into this one singular room. We're not quite sure what it was used for, but it's quite damaged and would cost an incredible amount of money to renovate. Similarly, with the two bays that are proposed for demolition, we got two estimates in for renovation of those bays, and the costs are astronomical. So what the board and the building committee decided was that there are some beams that were clearly part of a post and beam structure at one time. Farmers are famous for taking down barns and reusing portions, building portions to build, which is clearly what happened here. We're going to use the building components from the two bays that will be demolished to rebuild the other two bays to make them stronger, better in appearance. And those other two bays will be open classrooms. So we will be using the building components from the demolished bays. They'll be repurposed within the same site where they are taken down. So I want to give you that little bit of information. We did try to figure out how to save all these components, but it came down to practical matters and money, frankly. Any questions I can answer, and then I'll step back.
That was exactly the question I was going to ask, was whether or not they were saving some of that old barn board and some of those beams for other purposes. And I mean, and in all honesty, I mean, I know that the school district has been working with you guys on some outdoor classroom type activities on that space as well. So
Yeah, it's very exciting. The
yeah,
prospect of doing this and having a center for outdoor education, particularly in this time of climate change and the need to involve children in valuing the environment is really very, very exciting. And as you probably all know, property was a gift to the Farmington Land Trust by two sisters who spent their entire lives in the house. And the collection that came out of the house are diaries, journals, letters. They never threw anything away, and we have kept it all. The documentation for a farm in a town in Farmington is really incredibly rich. So it's another reason to try to keep the two bays and renovate them to show the farming life, which clearly is not going to be going on there going into the future. But
Yeah, so the only way to really save the property is to demolish those two bays and that room.
Well, no, I can't say to save the property because the rest of the structure, the house is actually with the exception of a few quirks, in pretty good shape. With exception of you could see that white portion of the house right there. The lower portion is the kitchen. And what we did discover a few months ago is that the foundation is sagging significantly. So the entire foundation has to be replaced, additional cost. So I can't say that taking those down saves the property, but taking those down
It would
takes
save the
away
rest of the barn.
unnecessary expense. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the property going to be used for?
Yeah, so the land trust offices will move into the house. The two bay, there will be space within the house for education programs for school children and for the general public. And then these two bays will be turned into outdoor classrooms for children and also for members of the public.
What about the rest of the property, though, the land around
So
it?
the rest of the property, it's a rich site with a very fragile environment. The board is actually having strategic planning meetings over the winter to determine how to open the property to the public.
Okay.
The donor, the last sister, who was the one who transferred the property to the land trust, wanted the land to be preserved without public access. We're taking a look at how we can open up the land in some way to the public, but that's going to be a rigorous strategic planning process for the board.
I have a question on that.
Demonstration farming.
Oh, I mean,
colonial methods or Indian methods.
Well, there's so much. It's so rich.
Yeah.
There's a pond on the site. It's unbelievable, really. And it backs up to the Farmington Forest.
The forest,
So
right there.
Yeah, the preservation of that swath of land is just such a remarkable opportunity.
I thought there was trails in there to hike.
In the forest, in the Farmington Forest, there are trails.
Okay,
Yeah,
it didn't cross the property though, right?
No, because it was a working farm, It was a working farm until
No, after the last sister died, I thought there was trails in there.
No. There's a trail in there that the land trust uses to get into the property, but not public trails.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's been farm to table dinners hosted here. Is that correct? I thought there's events
it's
or fundraiser dinners.
Yeah, there have been some fundraisers. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the other thing that we have to look at very closely is how extensive can those be? Because we're balancing the preservation of the land,
of course,
with use, and it's so we have to take a look at that. But we're committed to opening it to the public to the degree we can. Yeah, it's a wonderful opportunity, really great, and it's right across from West District School, which is just fabulous. Well, Any other questions about the building or about the demolition permit? Or about the site plan approval process?
I was surprised. You said that the foundation had issues, but the roof line on the top is like perfect. It's really nice lines on the roof itself. So it's not all falling apart.
Well, they did, you know how until about 50 years ago, people did their own work on their own houses? And that's what happened here. That kitchen was actually kind of put in probably in the 1920s. And they sawed out a few supporting beams, which we didn't really know about till we opened up the walls. And not only is the floor of the kitchen sagging, but so is the second floor. So, you know, it's a whole, that has to be taken care of before we do anything else. You know, you all live in historic houses. You know the work that's been done. And it's actually part of the charm of the building, but we do have to correct it. I mean, we don't want to lose anybody into sinkholes. And actually, there's some question about the front of the building, which you see there's a perpendicular, you know, it almost makes a cross, right? So the perpendicular part that goes east, it would be kind of east-west. That's actually an very early 19th century building, like 1805. But the cross building in the back, I think, is an 18th century building. And they are connected to a degree. When you go upstairs on the second floor in the newer building and you cross over into the older building, there's actually a gap in the roof line. They built the newer building right up against the older building, but they, for some reason, did not kind of seal in the connection on the second floor. Once again, somebody did the work, you know, they got their relatives together and they did the work, got it done, but that's something we have to correct. And it's really fascinating. It's a great study in how buildings have grown over time to fill people's different uses over time.
It's a character.
That's right. Character, that's right.
Expensive character.
Expensive character, that's right. Any other questions about the building or about the? Okay, I'll be quiet now. The commission does have the right to make a statement because this is within the bounds of Unionville about this application or this in front of planning and zoning. So if the commissioners would like to discuss this, come up with a statement, you can do that. And I'll be quiet now so you can have that conversation.
I would love to see it being saved, including the minor, somewhat demolitions. I think it's a perfect spot for an educational purpose and for an enrichment of the whole community. I would love to see it saved, but yeah, it's going to be expensive. But we'll have to work around that. But we shouldn't let our history just go away because it's going to cost a little money.
Well said.
Thank you.
I think there's a balance between that preservation aspect and the spending of the money, and I think this is that nice balance where it's taking pieces that just are not possible to save, but still retaining the materials and using those on that property to enhance the property and continue a good purpose for the property and continue the education on that property as well.
Shannon, how big is this piece of property? Is it more than 3 acres?
So this piece where the house is just under 1 acre.
1 acre.
Where the house is, and then the property at large is 20, almost 24 acres.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
I don't know who owns, that's the town. And then there's this weird, there's a strip, I don't know what
Right-of-way.
this strip is. There's a right of way, an old right of way coming through here. So between the two pieces, almost 25 acres in total, just under 25.
Now, the land trust would be owning all of that?
They already do.
Okay,
So the land trust already is the owner. So the Farmington Land Trust Inc. is the owner here. And the Farmington Land Trust Inc. is the owner of all the surrounding property. So it's already transferred title. That happened I believe the transfer of title of this larger area happened a couple of years ago, and the house more recently. I could drill into that for us, but yeah, so that it's already under Farmington Land Trust ownership and stewardship. And so now, as part of that, they're now coming forth because it's trying to figure out how to best utilize this property and also do the fundraising that was needed in order to make these improvements that they're proposing. So it was a balance of one, figuring out, right, there's investigative work that needed to be done, and then the drawing of plans and a decision-making process as to how to move forward. And so we've been speaking with them off and on now. I want to say 6 months to a year-ish, just kind of loosely back and forth. So we knew this was coming, and they were just, with anything like this, it's an evolution, and it takes, there's multiple conversations back and forth.
So is everyone on the commission agreed that we should save this? And who would put together a statement?
Well, by Barbara, let me just clarify, by save it, you mean save the house itself? Is that what
Oh,
you?
by doing the demolition and then
So
trying to do the rest of the work, yeah.
okay, so basically in support of the application as it's been presented, right? Okay, that's what I figured you meant, but
That's
yeah,
what I meant.
no, that's okay. It's just different terminology. That's all. That's okay.
I don't find it to be a problem. In future dates, they may want to add those two bays back on again, you know, once they secure what they have.
Okay.
So it's not a real loss, I don't think. The loss happened a long time ago.
Well, yeah, when you look at the photos, I would tend to agree. You know, there's and I think the fact that, you know, some of this material that's still usable, the pieces that are usable or portions of the pieces that are usable are going to be repurposed as and even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see where Matt would want to put it in his barn in the back.
I actually I had some old barn board I gave to my next door neighbor. He was looking for a couple of pieces, which he greatly appreciated. So
That's awesome.
it's good stuff.
Yeah, hopefully. I know there's a lot of, when you get down to the ground area, there's a lot of rot. There's been a lot of water damage, and there's evidence, like you see this board is all there's termite damage. So hopefully there's more salvageable than not, but I suppose when they get in there, they'll figure that out.
Yeah, I will tell you, there's an adorable historic outhouse
right
next to the bays that they're taking down.
And they're keeping it.
Absolutely. I told them I'm going to throw my body in front of it. Don't touch it. It's a two-holer.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
That's what. So
updated technology, man.
There it is. It's great.
So just a little sidebar.
Yeah.
If you all look at the left side of my barn, there's a little door on the left side. And which is now our garden shed, but that's exactly what that is. It's a two-hole. It was a two-hole outhouse, and I still have one of the original seats to it, but it is now, it is a garden shed. So
This is awesome.
when my grandmother moved into the house with her parents, she was 12 years old, and that was the plumbing in the house.
I love it.
They walked out to the outhouse. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But there it is, right there under the
There it
tree.
is.
So when this portion of the barn comes down, then the outhouse is going to slide over.
Yep.
We can see it here. So it's right now it's under the tree. So that outhouse here is actually in the footprint of the barn, the 2 bays that are coming down, and the outhouse is under the tree. So
Yeah.
it's going to slide over. So it's proportionally positioned to the remaining structure. Yeah, that was quite an interesting find when we were out doing our site visit, because these photos are for when Bruce and I went out. We did a whole slew of photos.
Yeah.
I was not expecting to find an outhouse.
Isn't it great? It's in great shape. It's really in terrific shape. So anyway.
That's where the treasure is buried.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, well, you go digging for it, Matt. First.
Never know what you're gonna find in there.
Oh my goodness. So, Anne, I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on this. I don't. Hopefully, you're still on with us.
I don't have any particular thoughts on the general plan. Sounds good to me from my perspective, anyway.
Okay. Okay. And Howard, do you want to offer your?
I think it's a wonderful project, and I can't wait to see what becomes of it.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a consensus of maybe issuing a letter of support on behalf of the commission. Is there anyone that's interested in taking a shot at authoring, and then I can assist, and I can get you the logo that we use for Unionville Historic District. And
Yeah, I don't think I can do it. I
no, I know.
would gladly do it, but I better not. Yeah.
Nope, understood.
You can
I'll
do
give
it.
it a shot, Shannon.
You
Yes, okay.
you'd give it a shot, Matt. Thank you.
I'll give it
Really?
a shot. Shannon, if you've got one of our previous letters, just as a quick template to work off of for where we've supported a previous project, I can take that and I can kind of tweak it.
I would suggest one sentence. I don't think you need to do, I don't think it needs to be a long thing.
Okay.
It's just a suggestion. Yeah.
Right, all
Yeah,
we do
I
is to
agree.
tell them we approve.
Yeah. Or just support the application as submitted.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's simple is probably for the best, that you folks had an opportunity to look at it. You looked at it as a group, and the consensus of the commission is to support it as proposed.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt. Well, thanks to all of you. That's great. I will, as soon as things clear out, it gets a little warmer, I'm taking you all out to see the outhouse, okay? Seriously.
I want to see that.
All I will say is when we were there was a roll of toilet paper in the outhouse.
No, really?
Oh yeah,
Oh, wow.
I'm not so sure that it's not in current.
Oh, no. Oh, boy. Okay.
There should have been a Sears catalog there.
There should have been, and all I can say is we just looked in the window. Like there was the door would crack open, or so the window or the door would crack open. I was like, that was it.
Oh,
That
boy.
was all.
That's taking living history a little too far, I think. But anyway, we'll figure that out. All right, great. Well, thank you, everybody. That's terrific. And thank you, Shannon, for bringing that up and
Of course.
informing the commission. Is there anything else somebody would like to bring up under other business? No.
Any updates on the bridge project, Shannon? Just in terms of where they are? on things?
Don't have an update. I can ask Russ again. I don't know what his latest information is.
They tore the sidewalk off. It's
I
gone.
just,
And
I
there's
just wasn't
two
sure if there were any,
mainlander.
yeah, you had given us a quick update last month. So I just wasn't sure if there were any updates on progress. So
No, I haven't heard anything. But it's one of those that unless I ask Russ specifically, it doesn't necessarily come up in
Yeah.
our general day-to-day things.
Somebody was
So,
working
but
on
I'm
it
happy to
yesterday.
ask him and see if there's an update and then share it back with all of you. That's fine. That's not a problem.
Yeah, somebody was working on it yesterday. So I don't know what they were doing, but
I'm going to throw one additional quick plug in ahead of Ann, but the Unionville Museum issued a new ornament this year, and it's the depot.
Oh,
Ah.
So it's
great.
been a couple of years since we had a new Unionville ornament.
Yeah,
but-
yeah. Wonderful. And can we get them through the website or we need to go to the museum to get them or?
Well, just for your information, the exhibit that we have up now is going to be extended until January 9th, I think it is. So there'll be opportunity to go ahead in and buy it there.
Okay,
But it is being sold on our website as well.
great. That's great news. Good.
Yeah, there's going to be a special opening this coming weekend as well. I think that there's some kind of Christmas thing going on in the park. But before that, the museum is going to be open pretty much all day long, like 10 to 5 or something like that. And so I guess Christmas season has begun.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Good. Good. Well, congratulations, Anne. That's wonderful to add a new ornament.
Oh, the other thing is that the calendar is available as well.
Hey, great.
It has a wonderful picture of the Farmington High School on the front cover.
Great.
Seems like a good year to bring that up.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Good.
Yes.
All right. All right. Is there anything else anybody would like to share with the commission?
I have a quick question. It has to do with the walkway thing that is going on in our with our museum building project and everything what got postponed from this meeting. And I was curious. I heard some. It was at either the last meeting or the meeting that we had with the architects. That some people were saying that the driveway area was a different property, and since it belonged to the town, we didn't have we couldn't do anything with it. However, I thought about it afterwards, and both of those properties belong to the town. I mean, so I don't really see that really should have been a concern in one way or the other. I'm not sure if it's going to come up again or not, because we haven't really heard from the architect what they want to do. But what we wanted to do was to put in that little side just a short section that goes out to the side, so that people who are leaving that way, who are in wheelchairs or whatever the case may be, can get out to their cars. And I think that's kind of important to. I hope that that's what they're going to be asking for when it comes around. I don't see any point in putting anything out to the front, because it's a pretty hard. I've seen people try to get into their cars in the front, and it's not an easy task. But if everything was all nice and flat in the back there, then I think that would be a good addition to the whole idea of handicapped access.
Yeah, and I think the email that we got, that's what they were saying is that they want to do a walkway to the driveway.
Well, I guess so. I know several of us have been saying that, but I'm not really sure what we're getting back from the architect at this
Okay.
point.
So I might be able to add a little clarity. So the original plan that came in that was shared with you folks back at the November meeting showed the sidewalk wrapping around the building and tying. So coming from the back expansion area around the building and tie into the sidewalk at the front. And at that meeting, the commission said, yes, okay, because it's going to be at the front, we would need a COA. Okay, fine. And then afterwards, we received a sketch, and I'm trying to remember when, because I've reviewed it with TPZ and the Architectural Design Review Committee as well. So forgive me on my sequencing events and parties I've spoken with, but it was through that at one of those, then Jack Kemper sent through a sketch that showed a connection coming basically straight across. So from the back of the expansion across to this property. And that's when we said, okay, fine, but you are technically crossing a property line. And so while, yes, they are both owned by the town of Farmington, there's a different entity and group using this portion than the Unionville Museum using this portion. And for me at the staff level, not knowing what agreements are in place or various things, I just wasn't in a position to say, oh, sure, hey, that's great. Anytime something's crossing a property line, then I need to get our director of public works and our town manager involved. So it was earlier this week that we'd had those conversations. We also had a little bit of concern because you're coming in. And again, now this is putting on an engineering hat and looking at ideal situations. When the sidewalk comes across, you would have a sidewalk come in to a hatched area like this, right? So if there's a whole bunch of cars parked here and a sidewalk comes in, you've got to make sure then that it's lined up so that it's going to hit that line between where the two parked cars are. So somebody can actually maneuver, presumably, depending upon how folks park, between two parked cars. So there were those logistics and I'd say best management practices that had to go kind of get worked out. And with this change and the timing of it, both Patty LaBouthier and Jack Kemper said, you know what, let's put the brakes on a little bit. Let's look at this to make sure that we're doing this in the most appropriate way, so that we can put forth the most appropriate plan. In speaking with both the town manager and the director of public works, they understand this is an ideal, but it's probably the easiest and most straightforward solution. So it's now just working with everybody to get everything drawn up so that it's the way it needs to be, and then they should be able to move forward. But that's where that came from. Again, because it is technically it is two different properties, even though it's the same owner. There's other uses and there's other people that we need to be mindful of and how those properties are being used.
Well, that's true, except, but I do have to say that we have access to that property to the extent that we're allowed to park there.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, why don't we, and I think that this is something that you all will work out with Jack and with the town. So when the edited COA app comes to us, then you will have already decided these things. So that's really where those discussions need to happen.
Well, and the other thing is that this is not something that's going to stop the whole project in general. No. I mean, it can be done later. So.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. This is just logistical things. Good. And we'll look forward to seeing that as soon as you guys are able to bring it to us, Anne. It's very exciting. Very, very exciting. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, if there's no other business to come before the commission, we will adjourn and see each other in January. We'll say a fond farewell to Howard Martin, and thank you for your service on the commission, Howard. You've been a real pleasure.
It's been very enjoyable. I'll miss you guys.
We'll miss you.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you for all your assistance.
Quite welcome. I'm sure we'll run into each other somewhere in town here.
I think we will. And I will also, just for the record, thank Sherry Horton for her service. She is a founding member of the Unionville Historic District Commission. And she decided it was time to move on to a few other things in her life, but she also will be missed, but we know we won't lose her. She's around to do editing anytime we need it. Good. So thank you to all of you. Have a lovely holiday season, and we
You
will
too.
see you all in 2022.